What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Instant Classic
What's up,
Wrestling
man? How you
Podcast,
doing? How you doing, bud? How's it? Oh, you weren't talking to me? My fault.
the only podcast that is always an instant classic. We don't even have to have Justin in here to get interrupted. DJ, he picks up the slack where Justin leaves off. Anyway, we're talking about New Japan's future endeavors. Yeah,
They're going out of business?
They
Bruh.
were fired from themselves, so they go into America. That's what happened. They fired themselves. Now they go into America,
It is the land of the free, so.
the home of the brave. I was pledging allegiance. Sorry. Anyway, but it is the 4th of July, so we figured we would do this discussion. What?
It's not in the pledge.
I was doing the pledge.
That's not in the
Can't
pledge,
see.
bro.
I would.
Lord.
So much. But anyway, we're talking about New Japan's future endeavors in the United States. So it's going to be New Japan America. It's not going to be that, but it's going to be sort of a territory that they're going to have, not necessarily a new promotion, but more just expanding into the United States, which a lot of fans are definitely supportive of. A lot of us have been wanting to see New Japan, and we ain't got the money to go to Japan. I mean, I don't.
No one does, and no one needs you in Japan offending the culture.
I do not offend the culture, okay?
You at least offend 5 cultures per podcast.
Kata Ibushi is the greatest of all time. That's all I say.
No, you trying to pronounce Japanese words. And
Well,
probably
if you
cussing
think that's bad,
somebody
you
out.
should have heard me trying to announce that match for Slammiversary.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. But anyway,
At least I didn't do it on purpose. I tried.
Terrible.
I think you trying was worse than me intentionally botching names. It was bad. What were those names again, DJ?
It was Tamichi Marufuji. I really don't remember the man's name. Yeah.
Anyway, we got some special guests. Obviously, we got DJ. He can't
Hey,
pronounce
I'm,
it.
I'm the special guest, bruh. I'm honored. It's taking me a long time to get on this podcast. I'll tell you.
I mean, it's almost like you're on every time we're on, but
That's true.
this is your first time. It is. We also got Amy. She wanted to be on here because I'm her favorite person ever. She loves me. She also loves James Ellsworth. That's her favorite wrestler. So, if you ever talk to her, talk about James Ellsworth. He is a chinspiration.
You know what, Casey? That is really rude of you.
It is. I'm sorry. But unfortunately we were not able to get the beautiful Alicia Fox on the show today. But we do have our friend Jonathan here. We friends on the Twitters, on the Twitters, and we got Cameron who just walked away. You can't
What
see
up?
him today, but there he is.
Here he is. He's back.
You can't see him anyway.
From
Presenting your screen.
I was letting them know what's going on anyway. He done walked over. Anyway, Cameron from a couple marks. Go check them out.
Thanks, man.
But we're gonna get into this. Any initial? I'm gonna kind of keep this open to whatever. So if you have any points, say them. Because Justin's not here, so it's not as annoying when people butt in. But any initial?
No
thoughts?
one's under the table.
Yeah, the New Day is under the table. They are. Any initial thoughts on New Japan coming to the United States finally? Anybody, DJ?
Well, first off, Sarah's gonna be really mad that we're not doing this in any type of order. Like if she wasn't mad already, she's gonna be really mad. But I'm definitely excited for this because I think New Japan has stretched their fan base so much that this makes so much sense now. And having this United States Championship, which I think was just cool within itself, even if they didn't have a territory or an upcoming territory, it still would have been cool to have a U.S. title, just because it feels like everybody has one. But I hope it, and I think New Japan will be a lot better than this than WWE is with their whole UK show, because that ain't, bruh. Where is that? Like, I need to know. Like they promoted that 2 years ago. It feels like now, and it still ain't debuted yet. And
What, the UK show?
yeah,
The UK special was god awful, so I can't imagine the UK show being any good.
Okay, it wasn't that bad.
It was 205 live, damn it.
Hating.
That's all it was. Get that straight.
You need to take your haterade and put that out.
Right. They had
get you
great
some Raider.
British wrestling in Norwich, England, and couldn't get what I think I can name 7 wrestlers from Norwich that are actually well known to partake, or any of the other, wrestlers from the UK tournament to partake.
Won't
Except like 2.
there like one match with 205 live people in it?
Yeah.
They only had 3 matches, and the one we all predicted was the title match, but
they were all predictable.
Yeah, except you didn't need 205 live in there. If you're only having 3 matches, take people from the promotion you're about to do. Which, I mean, they just stole Progress's roster anyways.
But I mean, I just feel like, as far as the U.S. territory is concerned, I just think it kind of shows how much New Japan has grown as far as the fan base is concerned. Because I think before, and especially even before New Japan World, New Japan was kind of hard to find at times. And I don't know if maybe that's just me, but New Japan was a little bit more difficult to find than other promotions. And now, especially with the internet and everything, like it feels like it's so easy to find, and it's on Access TV, so that always helps. Even though it's like a year later, but still, I mean, you can still see it, so that's always a good thing. So I mean, I'm just excited to see what they're gonna do with it, kind of who they're gonna have in it. Are they gonna bring in some people who aren't even on the roster? Because I think New Japan does a good job with that, using people from Ring of Honor, using people from other independent promotions, and having them in their tournaments and everything. Plus, it'll be easier on the wrestlers who are from America, because I mean, it'll be a good time for them to visit their family and everything. So,
yeah. Cameron, any thoughts on the expansion or territory, whatever we're calling it right now?
Yeah, actually, Chris and I just cut a G1 review today, and we kind of touched on that too. We're both super excited about it. I think New Japan coming to the States is going to be a really, really big deal for WWE. I think that's going to be something that won't get their interest immediately, but it needs to, with the way that New Japan has grown. And they're going to keep bringing in, like you guys said, these talents from these indie guys are going to want to start coming strictly to New Japan when they make their way over to the States. And I think they want to come back next year. I think next year they could sell at the Staples Center easy.
Yeah.
I think they can make that big of a jump. And I think the more they get these guys and these talents, these indie guys and women around the world, I think are really going to start – that's going to be an attraction. New Japan will start being an attraction to them. Especially with some of the WWE guys that might not hack it. This is a way for them to stay in the States but still wrestle for the second best promotion in the world. Maybe first, you can make an argument depending on what your basis for the argument's going to be.
Cameron, just a question for you, because I know you kind of brought up that it's gonna get WWE's attention eventually. Hopefully, we think. Do you feel like I don't know? Like, I feel like it's one of those situations where is there enough of a hardcore fan base for it to really get WWE's attention? Because I think WWE. The thing about WWE, and I apologize for cutting you off, but I think the issue with WWE right now is like, obviously there's nothing else out there. Hypothetically speaking, I guess you could say, and I feel like too, like they have the hardcore fans. The hardcore fans are gonna watch regardless. Like I'm gonna go and turn on Raw, or if all else is to fail, I'm gonna go on the network and watch it to my freaking heart's content. So do you feel like it's gonna turn up eyes for WWE to say, well, maybe we should change, how we do things? Because it's not that WWE doesn't have the most talent, one of the most talented rosters, because they have a lot of, this is probably one of the most talented rosters they've ever had, but they're just not using them correctly.
I think it's that. I think, and when I say they're gonna get WWE's attention, it might be 3 to 5 years from now. It's not going to be 6 months from now. And you're right, the hardcore fans of wrestling are going to watch everything. So it's not that New Japan will take away viewers from the WWE. They might take away a small portion, maybe, but not enough to build an argument off of. But I think over time, here's the big deal. For Chris and I, we think the Dolph Ziggler is going to play a pretty big role in this because he's going to go to New Japan in about a year, right? Like when his contract's up, he's probably going to jump to New Japan.
As he should.
That'll be interesting because Dolph's not, he's not somebody that's going to tip the scale heavily to New Japan. But if he goes, I think all of a sudden that's going to develop a thought process in some of these other guys that maybe want to get out, but they don't really know where to go. And you can build a U.S. territory off of the Bullet Club and Dolph Ziggler if you're New Japan and you want to do that. I think there's grounds for that there, and it'll start small and build its way up. It may be 5 or 7 years from now. But I think if New Japan plays this well, there's something there for them to contend with the WWE and at least make it something where WWE has to be good. The WWE doesn't have to be good right now. There's no competition. They don't care, right? Like, what is it, Impact or Global Force or TNA or whatever they are right now? I don't know. And nobody really has a stranglehold on the U.S. territories like the WWE does, so they don't really care right now. They're not being pushed in a competitive manner, and I think New Japan is the only program in the world that can do that. They just got to get here to the States.
Yeah. Jonathan, what do you think of the expansion or territory coming in 2018?
Yeah, I think New Japan will definitely be with WWE in 5 years if they keep partnering with Ring of Honor. And like the War of the Worlds pay-per-views, that's a great promotion. Mm-hmm. You got 2 great shows with great talents. And New Japan and even ROH, 90% of their talent is better than WWE in my opinion. And some of the top guys came from New Japan. Finn Balor, AJ Styles, the Club, when they weren't buried on like they are now. So I think New Japan has a big chance. And honestly, I think a lot of it is because of Cody Rhodes. A lot of people followed him, and he's so big on the indie circuit. Once he joined the Bullet Club, it caught my attention. And I just started watching all these indie shows, started watching New Japan hardcore religiously, and just kind of forgot about WWE because I was seeing good matches almost every week and not just every couple of pay-per-views. So I think New Japan definitely could if they keep the Bucks and Omega. If they don't leave and they keep them and they just keep the Bullet Club growing because it's so popular over here, Okada and Naito aren't going to leave. So between those guys, I think they have a good chance to really compete with WWE in a few years. Especially if they get a TV deal and them and Ring of Honor can make some kind of promotion. It could easily compete within 5 years, I think.
Yeah, if New Japan can link up with Ring of Honor, now you're talking. That's going to be pretty big. And you assume the writing on the wall is that those two would eventually pair up because it's probably in their best interest to do that. But you're right, like Okada and Naito, those guys aren't leaving. You're going to have to pay Okada, Cena, and Reigns money just for him to come over. And the WWE is just not going to shell that out because they don't see that in Okada. But you're right, those two teaming together, I think would make for a lot of fun.
Do you think, because now we're talking New Japan pulling eyes from WWE or at least making an attempt to, my question comes to Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. Ring of Honor is really good. I enjoy it. When I get the chance to watch it, I enjoy it, pay-per-views and everything.
Sure.
But will Ring of Honor, and this is a question for everybody, will Ring of Honor be willing to take the chance? Like, because that's kind of the thing with Ring of Honor. They've never been willing to take that chance. We hear negative things about TNA and them taking that chance. They took that chance. Will Ring of Honor be willing to take that chance, even if they do pair with New Japan?
I mean, I think they'll take the chance just because they do the War of the Worlds pay-per-view every year when they cross their and you see talents from both shows on Ring of Honor and on New Japan. I mean, look at Jay Lethal. He was in the New Japan US tournament, and Ricochet was there. And, I mean, I think Ring of Honor will take that chance. I think Ring of Honor could do good if they actually had a TV promotion. Unlike, I mean, TNA or whatever, they have Pop or whatever. That's just not good. But if they can get a big-time deal with somebody like WWE has and team with New Japan, they could easily do it.
See, that's what I was saying too. Like, yeah, that's what I was saying too with Ring of Honor. Like, even their TV deal is only because they have, Sinclair owns the dang on company.
Yeah, I watch Ring of Honor on the Fight app. That's how I watch it.
True.
Yeah, we really enjoy Ring of Honor. We were actually at their they did the Super Card of Honor, where the Hardys go home show basically the night before WrestleMania when they faced the Bucks on the ladder match.
Well, that was a good match.
Yeah, we were actually there. We're in Lakeland, Florida, and they came to Lakeland and cut the pay-per-view there. So we actually went and got to see that live. That was really cool, and it was a solid card. I mean, it was stacked all the way up and down. But again, you're looking at an arena that probably holds 5,000 people tops, right? So they're not going to be able to do it on their own, and that's whether or not the Ring of Honor owner is going to want to jump to that next level where the backing would come from New Japan. Like those two together would be able to fill the puzzle pieces that the other one doesn't have. Because Ring of Honor has a really good states-based relationship right now because that's where they are, where I feel like New Japan's probably going to bring in the money aspect that the Ring of Honor would maybe fall short on, or would bring the prestige of a brand that wrestlers would want to sign full-time to, that maybe Ring of Honor doesn't. So I think the marriage between those two, I think, is almost perfect if they're willing to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and I also think you mentioned Dolph Ziggler, eventually going to Ring of Honor or New Japan. I could honestly see a lot of even guys who came from New Japan. I could see guys going back. I could see Gallows and Anderson back. Because you can already see their booking in WWE is going down. Even Finn Balor, I think, we love Finn Balor, but as soon as this brand split stops and as soon as, Vince, starts to do what Vince does, I think eventually they're either going to not know what else to do with him and release him, or he's going to ask for his release. And then also, you have all these indie guys, like you said, the Young Bucks, you have Ricochet. Those are going to be guys that fans are just going to gravitate to and want to go see. I mean, even if you're not a New Japan fan, chances are if you heard anything in wrestling the past couple years, you've heard about the match Ricochet versus Ospreay. Yep. Right there, that's gonna at least get people's interest. And like you said, it's not gonna be overnight. It's gonna be 3 to 5 years, whatever. But I think to my next point, of the tournament we had, the G1 US tournament, I think it was definitely good that they had it now, because you got to think, first of all, it was a huge undertaking to do that just itself. Then you got to figure out, you need a champion that's going to build up that title in the States before the promotion even starts, even the territory even starts. You have to have that build. You got to find just the right person that the fans are going to know enough to, gravitate to, but, also wrestles enough in the U.S. There was a bunch of guys that I would have loved to have seen, but like Naito, Tomohiro Ishii, guys like that who just don't necessarily really work that much. Just because you hate Ishii, he's great. He is.
I hate that man. I can't stand him.
Why
no
not?
idea why, DJ.
Yeah, why?
What?
You watched one match in his.
He's terrible. He's the worst New Japan wrestler I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
He's out of shape. Hate that man. I'd rather watch
people are out of shape that wrestle.
I'd rather watch Toru Yank.
Was one typo. One typo. But yeah, I mean,
I think you're right, and I think because guys like right now, the top of the line New Japan guys aren't going to sell out in the States yet, right? Like if you're, I feel like, because Chris and I just love watching wrestling, like Okada, second, third best wrestler in the world right now, I think you could argue. He's not going to draw to the U.S. yet, so if New Japan makes a move to the States, it has to be on the heels of Americans or Canadians or people that wrestlers that people consistently see in the States, like an Omega, like the Bullet Club, all these guys.
I think the Bullet Club does help a lot too.
And
it does help, but you can pull off New Japan easily. It's not hard. People can pull off New Japan pretty easily, even with their main talent. You saw that in the Cruiserweight Classic with Akira Tozawa, Kota Ibushi. Zack Saber's in New Japan a lot. I mean, people were chanting Tozawa before in that very first match, and barely anybody knew. You would have thought barely anyone would have known who he was, but they didn't. So I think they can get away with their top talent.
I agree. I just think
not being American.
I think they can too. I think Okada can sell out places. Yeah. What I meant was if you bring in the Bullet Club and Omega, I think immediately you can sell out bigger places than you would if you didn't have an American base, which is what the Ring of Honor will bring for them, which is, again, that stability and that foundation that New Japan can use in their marriage with Ring of Honor to make life a little bit easier in that transition. That's all I mean. I love it. Like, I love everything about New Japan. I'm just looking at it in the business sense of them making their way to the States. Using Ring of Honor as that foundation while they bring in the money, I think is.
Oh, yeah, that works too. But also for Ring of Honor, that brings depth to their roster as well.
Exactly.
And then they don't have much of a depth at all.
Yeah.
Now, too.
That'll help them in that nature.
I feel like you can sell out arenas, but as far as when we start talking TV, will it draw? Because I have noticed, looking back at some things for certain times people were champion. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean like it was the champion's fault, but that's who we place the blame on because, they're the main guy at the time. My concern is I don't know if like I know we get mad at WWE for the sports entertainment aspect of it, but that's what I feel like draws. Not us, not necessarily us, but the casual fan, you still have to get them. If you're gonna pull in ratings, you just have to. And I have noticed that the best wrestlers in the world can be, champion at the time, but the ratings go down.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And again, that's a long-term thing. I think what would really help them is if they made the move, I think the first thing they do is you secure JR as a commentator full-time. And I think that might help. Again, it's just finding ways to just kind of help bridge that gap a little bit when they make the move. But you're right. Ratings are kind of down right now because in the States it's not too big of a deal to try and scroll through every channel to find New Japan. But I think the more available you'll make it, I think is when you'll start to see that number tick in the favor of New Japan. Like through Access on day one, their ratings were really, really, really high on day one when they put them on TV. And, granted it was just once this year and everybody knew the build up to, but I think the more available you make it in the States, that number will start to tick towards New Japan's favor. I think.
And I think another thing too is I don't. It's a weird thing because when I talk to a lot of people who used to be wrestling fans and they go back to the Attitude Era and they go back to when wrestling was at its quote peak, they never talk about the wrestling. They never talk about this match, that match, that match, this match that was amazing. It's always, oh, the storyline. It was always, what was Stone Cold gonna do next? What was The Rock gonna say next?
Yeah.
And that's my only concern with a wrestling-based company trying, to just go head on with WWE eventually.
Sure.
Now, with time, maybe.
Yeah.
But then also, there's just that big difference in just the style in general.
Yeah.
Like you guys were saying on your show earlier, just the selling is different from New Japan.
You shouted us out. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't.
He's somewhat decent of a person.
In New Japan, it's not. It's not. Oh, you hit me, and I act like I'm dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like they hit each other as hard as they can, and it's who's tougher, who can take it, who can, And I don't know if the casual WWE fan going over, initially they're going to be like, they're not selling, they're not blah blah blah, they're no selling. It's going to take them a while to.
I agree. It's really funny you mention that because so it started with Chris and I, and then we kind of brought the coach in as our third person. And he is a casual wrestling fan. He watched it and then took like a 25-year hiatus and came back into it like 8 months ago. Right? So he really came back in and had no idea what was going on. And that was one of the first things he pointed out when we showed him a New Japan pay-per-view. He was like, this is ridiculous. They're not selling. Like, that move should have killed somebody and they kicked out at 1, or they didn't even pin him, or what are they doing? And then the more he watched now, he starts to understand. But I agree with you, yes. With New Japan, that's going to be their toughest thing to get over with the crowds, is the fact that they sell differently. That will be their biggest wall, more so than anything else, I think, is the casual fan going, okay, I have to change my mindset when I watch these matches, but I don't really know if I want to because I've conditioned myself watching this other product for so long, which is fine, whatever. It's going to be tough for them to make that transition. You're right. That's going to be their biggest problem.
Yeah. But
kind of. Depends on if they do it right.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the right set of people, they do it fine. Because I've seen plenty of New Japan matches where they sell just decently. But
right.
New Japan, in their aspect, give them credit, is they don't overdo the entertainment aspect. Is where WWE is, and it's 95% talk. And I think that's what people aren't used to. They're not used to like a lot of, hey, there's actual wrestling going on in a wrestling show. Where's my soap opera?
Exactly. Yeah, like the G1, it was 4 hours both nights, and somebody hopped on the mic twice, I think. And the first night it was War Machine before the match with God, and then Omega after Okada's match with Cody. Those are the only 2 times anybody got on the mic in a 4-hour span. Like, that's awesome. That's what I want.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was. It was
WWE
incredible.
can take notes.
Yeah, 100%. No, I totally agree with you on that. 100%.
See, I want WWE to figure out how to subtly sell something and not over promote the hell out of it, where we're like, oh, this is just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, have you signed up for the network? It's only $9.99 a month.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for them. Just transitioning, and it's tough to transition from anything. But I think they do have guys that can kind of bridge that gap. I think, so it's not just the Ishii's who just doesn't ever sell. It feels like. I don't think I've seen that man ever sell, and I love it. But I mean, I think as far as Kenny Omega, I think he was kind of the perfect choice for what they had.
Mm-hmm.
There's other guys I could have thought of to possibly put the belt on that work in New Japan, like Ricochet.
Like Okada.
I think he's having issues with Lucha Underground right now.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
He isn't having issues with Lucha Underground right now. I feel like everyone is.
Yeah.
Like the entire. I feel like I'm having issues with Lucha Underground. I don't even work for Lucha Underground.
Yeah, right. Everybody is just like a byproduct. Everybody's having problems with Lucha and Impact.
What's Impact? I thought it was Global Force.
Oh,
Global Impact NA.
Yeah, right. I don't. That one show that Scott Steiner's on.
Guys, it's Owl Championship Wrestling.
True.
OCW, nice. Yeah, but the good thing that New Japan will bring is they let their guys do their stuff. Here's the thing. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm gonna go off on a rant. I'll make it quick. The 205 Live roster is incredible. If you look at the guys in that ring, it is amazing, and they should tear every house down and main event every pay-per-view. But they're pigeonholed, and we yell and scream about it all the time for whatever. But the thing that New Japan and Ring of Honor get right is they let their guys go. When Ospreay, Ricochet, and Voldor Jr. and Jay White and those boys get in the ring, they just let them go. And say, go be really, really great at what you're really, really great at, and they'll love you. And that's where they get it right, and that's going to help endear them to a lot of fans.
That's I think
that, and you're right in that, because I mean, look at the pop Shinsuke got coming over here.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried about that because he was very talented in New Japan, watching for years.
Mm-hmm.
However, I could watch that damn show. I was like, are they really going to like this guy? He's crazy talented, doesn't speak too much English, but they tested the waters with Tozawa, at least. That worked, thank God. But everybody knows Shinsuke and AJ from that New Japan match, which if you haven't watched that, for the love of God, go watch it, because that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're definitely right. They got that crap right. Let them fight.
But
WWE is hinting at that.
Like going back to the whole American thing, a lot of people disagreed with Cody headlining and fighting Okada for the title.
Mm-hmm.
But from a business standpoint, that was pretty smart in New Japan.
Yeah.
He may not deserve a title shot, but I think it helped them with the American fan base somewhat because he's so over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
That's why, they made those decisions based on where they were. That's why Omega won the tournament.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
And they're trying to think of their future. Exactly.
Yeah, they're laying a foundation right now. Very, not quietly is the word. That's not the right word, but they're laying a foundation right now.
I just don't want WWE to go on a buying spree and start buying guys. Like the club in New Japan, they had awesome single matches. I mean, I think it was Anderson that fought Nakamura for the IC title, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's a pretty good match. And over here, they get fed the Roman, and it's just like, I don't even want to watch Raw anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, no one wants to watch Raw. I watch SmackDown mainly.
SmackDown has Sami Zayn, KO, AJ, and Nakamura, and it's like those four I could watch fight if they let them go.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know how to book, unfortunately.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But I think when New Japan does make it in there, I think it'll be quicker than most people think. WWE is going to eventually get a little bit, I don't know, worried just because of how fast their tournament initially sold out.
And here's why I think the buying, and listen, the WWE is just going to be, right, they're like the Yankees. They're just going to throw as much money on the table until you say yes for most of these guys. But what will be interesting when New Japan makes the changeover to the US is how often they run their shows. Because the beautiful thing about New Japan is they only run like twice a month.
Yep.
They're not on the road 6 days a week. So it'll be interesting to see if it changes and if it doesn't. And if it doesn't, I think that will pique the interest of a lot of wrestlers in America. You go, wait a minute. I can leave here, make semi the same amount of money. I'll cover the difference in merch. I can stay in the States with my family, and I only have to work like maybe 5 times a month, maybe 6 times a month. They do something in between. Yeah. I think that might pique some interest.
Yeah, and speaking of merch,
yeah, that's what AJ had that too. Because I remember in an interview he was like, "Yeah, I just couldn't take living in Japan away from my family for a couple months, but I love the schedule."
Yeah,
but
that's what gets.
Speaking of the merch, I mean, look what the Young Bucks did. I mean, they're not signed with WWE, but they got their stuff in Hot Topic.
Every
And it's popular. They got all the Bullet Club members in there. I mean, that's huge for somebody like them.
Sure. Well, and it sold so well that they went ahead and put them in all of the Hot Topics now.
Yep.
Yeah, Marty, Omega, Cody. I mean, it's incredible. WWE would cut that off and then have to take part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, but they just merchandise themselves so well. They said they make so much money. It's
Sure.
crazy. And then B&D Elite, one of the best shows on YouTube. I mean,
sure.
And I think also down the road, like you said, these guys are going to realize that, yeah, WWE, you know, when we were growing up, it was the dream. That was the place to go. But I think eventually they're going to realize that, yeah, WWE is great, but it's better to possibly go to New Japan just because you do have more freedom. You know, your hand isn't being held by Vince the whole time. You know, your matches aren't, you know, completely choreographed.
2 seconds?
WWE, like you can.
Oh, you mean they get a move set that they can use different moves from and not the same 5 things?
Yeah.
but like,
What is that?
I mean, but look at NXT. I mean, NXT is usually so much better than anything on WWE because Triple H is in charge and Vince don't really have a say-so.
Yup.
I think WWE could be good once Triple H gets control.
Yeah.
But then again, competition is good. I mean, when there was a Monday Night Wars, it was like, okay, what am I going to watch tonight? But WWE don't have that, so it's just like, let's just throw something on for 3 hours and.
100%. I think that's what people are claiming.
It's a talk show for 3 hours. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right. I think people are just clamoring for some sort of competition. Like, start using these guys. And there's hidden talent everywhere in the WWE that just don't get put on display. I'll go back to 205 Live. I think 205 Live should absolutely be the best part of WWE right now with the talent that's on that roster.
Oh, I agree completely.
And then you look at these guys in
putting too
NXT.
much storyline in it.
Yeah, and then you look at these guys in NXT like Almas, Cien Almas. Like, where's he going to go? That dude should be a main eventer, not just a cruiserweight. But if they call him up, I feel like they're going to put him in 205 Live, and they're just going to bury him.
Well, I wish 205 Live and NXT would like merge into like some kind of 2-hour show. I think it would be better for everybody if they did that.
It might. I mean, 205 Live right now is on its last leg. I think the only thing holding it is the Titus brand punch in the arm they're getting.
Yeah.
Because
Which is actually pretty cool.
Like every time I go to a SmackDown Live show, so many people leave when 205 is starting. And I'm just like,
yeah.
Still well, but
I feel like one of the problems with NXT is they have great talent, but the guys that deserve that main event and should be pushed are kept in NXT way too long.
Yep.
And then there's guys that they push up to the main roster way too quickly. Not even just guys, some of the women too. And they're not ready. But because they have a good physique or whatever, Vince wants them on the main roster.
Sure.
like American Alpha, they were fantastic. And then they're like MIA doing single stuff.
American Alpha got pushed too quickly, I think.
Then I love DIY. Then they break them up, and they could have been great tag team champs.
Right now, Ciampa's out until like April.
Yeah, like
he's gone for a minute.
Which kills anything about that feud. And so now that leaves Gargano out on an island all by himself. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, and then
bring him up, become a cruiserweight champion.
Yeah, but then you pigeonhole Gargano in just 205 Live, which is probably going to be dead in 4 months anyways.
Yeah,
but everywhere
if only they could hold it off to where Ciampa comes back and Gargano's cruiserweight champion. Then if you start that feud right then and there,
sure,
money.
If it runs that long, I'd be all for that.
If you're in NXT, I don't know if you want to go to the cruiserweight division.
No, you don't.
If you're in NXT, you don't want to get called up in general. You're going to be buried. There's no point in getting called up.
Yeah.
The only time you get to maybe have a decent match is a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
For a 3-hour show, especially if you're a female, you get I've timed it. If you get a normal match, you get 15 minutes on a 3-hour show. If you don't, it's 5 minutes if you're lucky.
Right. No, that's a whole different set of arguments for me for what they're doing on the women's side.
I know.
No,
trust me, that's my rant. The best thing I got going is my women's wrestling rant.
Yeah, so like I'm a women's basketball coach, so like
nice.
most of my life is rooted in women's sports anyways. So like
I'm a female cop, so
fair enough. Okay, respect. Thank you for your servicing.
no problem.
But yeah, it's interesting because if you are those NXT guys, like what happens to Bobby Roode? Like, does he go mid card? Roderick Strong's going to get buried the moment they call him because he offers nothing, you know. And then I go back to a guy like Almas. Rey Mysterio said Andrade Cien Almas is probably the greatest luchador in the world, minus like one or two people, and that's coming from somebody who once upon a time was the greatest luchador in the world.
Yeah.
And you've got this hidden talent where he can do anything in the world he wants to do, and you're gonna leave him on 205 Live. That's gonna be somebody who's gonna jump ship.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, half the roster's gonna jump ship, in my opinion.
Well, they should, and that's how you start a U.S.-based New Japan.
Right. I hate to say it. This whole Cena thing, real quick. If you go back to AJ and Cena's feud toward the beginning, when AJ was calling him out saying, I'm about to be buried like John Cena buries everyone else, he was right. Any indie guy gets buried. There's a reason WWE will buy them out.
Yep.
They'll build them up for all of like 2 months to get the money, and then they just start burying them so they can control the whatever.
I think this is, this New Japan thing is going to be good, obviously, for the guys who are going to jump ship. But I think it's going to be really good for the not only the Japanese wrestlers in the States, but also even the Hispanic guys like Andrade. Because we know, if there's one thing we know, WWE does not book Japanese or Hispanic wrestlers well at all. Because the only thing they're trying to do is make them the next Rey Mysterio. And don't even get me started on them trying to book Japanese wrestlers between what they did with Yoshitatsu.
Yes, preach.
God.
Like, they're just terrible. They don't know how to book them. So that's going to bite them in the ass eventually. And these guys are going to realize, you know what? I should just go to New Japan. I'll use better. I'll be booked well. I'll be able, again, it goes back to the freedom too. I'll be able to sell my own merch. I can, have a better schedule. Eventually, I think WWE is going to have to, say, oh, okay, this is, catching stride. We're gonna have to do something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're already trying to take more New Japan talent. There's was a big fuss about a few talent backstage recently.
Well, Okada was backstage
They
after
already took Shinsuke. Yeah.
That was Okada.
Think about it, they already got. Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually pretty cool.
There were some other rumors though.
Yeah.
They were trying to get Marty for a while, but he signed with ROH again, I believe.
Trying to get who?
Marty, the villain.
Oh, yeah. Scroll. Yeah.
But it's going back to New Japan, like, something I like about them is their heavyweight title. There's only been 4 champions in the last 7 years.
Yep.
Oh, it means something to them, not like...
It's not hot potato.
No.
Yeah.
It's not a hot potato, and it's a difference in the fan base, too. Yeah. American fans get super bored of a champion after like three days, whereas in New Japan, like, you can be champion for a year and a half on end and be fine. Well, and that's the biggest issue. Like, they can put the championship on AJ Styles and freaking a week later we'll be like, oh, please get it off of him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think.
Well, it also goes to how they book people.
I don't think it's necessarily the fans. It's WWE doesn't give a shit about their titles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single title Japan has means something. It has prestige. They care about them.
Right.
WWE, it's just a belt. Except say the word belt because Vince doesn't like that term.
Right. And also, I think one other thing, too, is, again, it goes back to their scheduling. You see the same person holding the title 6 days a week in WWE. Where in New Japan, the guy may hold the title for a year, but he may only defend it, a handful of times.
Yeah, I think Okada defended it 4 times in the last year.
Yeah, the other times you may see him in like a tag match or something like that or something different. So they spread it out. And again, it's that level of expectation of the fan base, like you said.
So it's like Omega twice, Fale, and Cody. That's 4. So.
Man,
Yeah.
I wish sometimes we would take wrestling as seriously as, or America would take wrestling as seriously as freaking India or Japan.
It's their culture, though. It's that
Or
level
England.
of honor and respect. That whatever they do with the utmost level of honor and respect to whatever it is. And because that's how their culture is, that's how it's received.
And I think also with New Japan, with respect to Okada, like I can see Okada having any kind of match with anybody on their roster, and he's the champion. WWE, if you're the world champion, you're only going to face a handful of people. There's no way you're ever going to face a mid-carder or, anybody like that. So, it is spread out more in New Japan.
Right, like in WWE, there's no way in this earth Okada ever faces Bad Luck Fale at a pay-per-view.
Right?
There's no way.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
Where he went 25 minutes with Bad Luck and sold him well.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad match.
It wasn't.
Jinder Mahal's the freaking world champion, and we complained about that.
I think that was a great move. I was on that bandwagon from day one. I love that.
See,
I
I don't
agree.
mind Jinder. Like I actually like him, but I don't like the reason he's champion. Like WWE is only using him because he is Indian, and they're trying to push wrestling in India.
Well, that's why.
That's the
why
only
Omega
reason I
just
don't
won the
like
US
it.
title in New Japan.
Yeah.
True.
Well, they're trying to expand. They're not really trying to, hey, we need this country to buy more product, and we're going to use the Indians to do it.
Well, it's the same
I
concept, though.
respectfully disagree on that. I think WWE's trying to expand as well because they just signed a Saturday morning TV deal in India. So 1.2 billion people have access to their network now.
I know
think
they're
it's
trying to
business. That's
expand,
all that
but they're
is.
just trying to use it. Yeah. But if you go back to NXT and watch Jinder. Watch how good he is there.
Agreed.
That
No,
man
100%.
has not gotten a great push up until this point. That's my point.
Yeah, I mean,
He hasn't been. He's been an afterthought.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree with that.
He's just been an afterthought up until this point. That's the only thing I don't agree with. Like, come on, you could have built him up a little more. You know, if you know you're going to do that, build him up a little more and don't just come out with random articles saying, "Oh, by the way, we're promoting WWE in India," and then
that is true. But the thing about it is,
by Gronk or something, and then he gets the title shot.
Well, I think the thing about Jinder,
so I don't know what anyone just said.
I think the thing about Jinder, chance at the championship, and he took that chance and he ran with it. That's what I liked about it too. Logically, it makes a whole bunch of sense. If I get a chance at a doggone job,
oh yeah,
it's my fault.
No, I agree with you there. I never said I did. The guy isn't talented. I always thought he was. I mean, he's a phenomenal heel. I love him as a heel. God never go freaking face in his life in that career. But I just thought they could have done a better job building him up, giving him more reputability, because when they brought him back, they jobbed him then too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
jobbed him up until this point. That's what I don't like.
Yeah. Didn't he get beat up by Gronk at WrestleMania?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did. I'm a huge New England Patriots fan too, so that kind of really did like that. But that's my point. He was jobbed, horribly jobbed up until that very point, and that's the only thing I don't like. I don't like that part of disrespect to him. Like, dude, now you want him to. He's gonna run with it because hey, it's money, it's TV time, it's what he wanted.
Sure.
But I mean, really, you want him to push your company when you've shown him nothing but disrespect for how long has he been with the company?
I think he went into NXT in 2012.
Yeah, so
we all have 3MB shirts. We can admit it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like him in that because this is just funny. But Heath Slater can make anything hilarious. I'm sorry.
He really can. It's interesting to hear Jinder talk about wrestling in India because he said it's not a huge thing, but everybody flocked when they put on those matches. They would sell out cricket arenas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Twice the size of Jerry's World. They would just sell those out because people just wanted to come see it.
Yeah. And the thing that I didn't like about the Jinder Mahal thing is I mean, obviously, it was to promote, in India, we have an Indian champion, so come see, this is what you get. But it was so random that they brought him up after jobbing him out, but they didn't push anybody else that, should have been pushed too. I'm not going to say any names, Sammy. But that's just an issue with WWE. They have all this money and they just throw it around, and then they have these amazing, talented guys they're not using. It doesn't make sense.
Not only that, but they only use them when they really need to, like the business deals. I get it, it's business. However,
yeah,
it's shitty when they could be having crazy good matches. Sometimes I actually prefer just to go to live events instead of Raw and SmackDown because they put on a better show. To be honest.
Yeah, it's the Sammy thing.
That's where they test everything.
Yeah, that's true. The Sammy thing is interesting. Interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah, I love Sammy, but he's like the lovable loser.
Yeah, he will replace Ziggler when Ziggler leaves.
Yeah,
so that's
the fear.
Yeah. And then I feel like Sami Zayn could have an entire 10-year WWE career and never win a belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that would be okay because everybody loves him, so it really doesn't matter.
But I think they do need to book him better.
Sure.
If they don't, people are going to turn on him like they did with Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, that's the problem with him and Dolph Ziggler. They're great, talented guys. They sell like there's no tomorrow.
Yep.
But that's what they're used for. They're used for jobbers. They're used because they
to put people over.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. He could have a whole career in WWE without having a title because he doesn't need it. But he does need to be pushed. And, we need a reason to watch his matches because if he just loses and loses and loses, I love the guy, but I'm not going to watch the matches because I don't. It's like being a Browns fan and just watching them lose and lose and lose. Eventually, you're going to
Shut it, Casey.
I didn't know they had fans.
Love you.
I feel like I've walked in on something.
Yeah, she's in Cleveland.
I'm from Cleveland, Ohio.
No boy. So you're a Browns fan and a Patriots fan. So you got both ends of the spectrum there.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, you cheat and you lose.
Well, the beautiful thing is every year you win a ring and you get the first pick in the draft. It's beautiful.
I know, right? Can't go wrong.
No, best of every world. I'm in.
Well, going back to New Japan, does anybody plan to go next year?
Oh, yeah.
To Japan?
No, to the U.S. show.
No, I know.
I was thinking about
my schedule allows it.
I was thinking about going to Mania next year, but I think I'm going to probably go to New Japan special.
Well, if what I'm hearing is right, I think they're trying to do multiple shows.
I heard at least 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah. So I mean, if they come anywhere, near the East Coast, yeah, I would definitely go.
I mean, I drove 16 hours for the Rumble, so I'm willing to drive that for Omega. Like,
good for you.
Well, yeah, I drove down to Orlando for Mania, so.
Oh, did you? Nice.
Yeah. So if I have to.
Yeah, we didn't go to Mania. It was like a 50-minute drive up the road, and we did not go.
Dang.
Nah, man, I'm not going to do that. You kidding me? I'm sitting on my couch.
I'm going to my first Ring of Honor show in the end of this month, actually, so I'm pretty happy.
First NXT live event we're going to on Thursday. They're bringing one through Lakeland, so we'll be there.
Oh, you're going to have a blast.
Am I?
I loved NXT Live. I do the NXT Cleveland all the time.
Nice.
My friend Miley has a connection, so we always get ringside seats.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but to answer the original question, Chris and I are just, as soon as they said they were going to start doing something next year, we immediately started trying to figure out how we can make it there. Luckily, there's a magazine that we just got picked up to write for, and they have a lot of like media credential ends with stuff. So there's a chance that we might be able to start going to some events now.
Oh, that's cool.
Through their media passes and stuff.
And I think one thing that they definitely should do is try to have a show around Mania weekend, because that's obviously one of the biggest, weekends for wrestling. So hopefully they'll have something around that time.
It works great for Ring of Honor.
Yeah, because they always have their Super Card of Honor.
Yeah.
The WrestleMania weekend. But it'll be interesting to see, though, if they both run it in the same weekend, are they going to lose participants off of each card because they've got commitments to the other one already?
Yeah.
You're going to shoot yourselves in the foot,
Well, I mean, you have the whole weekend, so.
Sure. And they can pull double duty, but just location-wise, though, depending on where they are.
But then there's so many indie shows also. I mean, that's not big for a lot of people, but if I go to a Mania weekend, I want to check out so many indie shows. That's my top list to do.
Yeah. I think if you're New Japan, to test the markets you want, you go back to LA, you go to Brooklyn, and you go to Orlando. And you test those 3 markets. And if you can play well in those, I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you send your 4th one to, like, Boise just to see.
They could just come to Atlanta, so I don't got to drive too far.
I'm going with Cleveland.
Right.
Cleveland actually sells out a lot of things.
I mean, the Falcons aren't going to use the stadium, so New Japan can.
They need to come to Philly.
Now, that would be an interesting crowd. Put New Japan in Chicago or Philly, and I want to see how they react to them.
I need CM Punk to show up.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think CM Punk's coming back.
I've seen him in the Indies live. That's where my love of him came from.
Yes, I loved Punk. I'm good on him now. But it'd be interesting to see. I think if you're New Japan, I think you have to go to those major markets. You have to run your 3 shows a year, and you really need to start testing some stuff.
True.
I think they're going to do just fine in the States. There's a big enough market. And WWE kind of tested their waters for them when some of their big stars went over. So.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, right? They're kind of in a sweet spot because the fans are clamoring for something different, and WWE doesn't think there's anybody out there that can touch them. So your competition isn't going to pay attention to you, which is beautiful. And the audience is at least going to look at something different. Now, whether or not they stay is a different story, but they're at least going to look. So they're kind of in a really good spot right now.
Yeah. I'm curious about just the build-up these next couple months, until, because it's not starting until 2018. So you have, that time to build up. I kind of want to see how they do it, how, they promote it. Because obviously, Kenny Omega is the champion. So that is enough promotion itself. But you do also have to kind of, promote that, you have your new territory coming. And I want to see, how much Kenny is actually going to be in the States. Because he, obviously he has his commitments in New Japan, in Japan itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he does, to an extent, have to kind of bring the belt to different promotions in the States to get fans to, get excited about it.
He needs to defend it on Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Once or twice this year, I think, just to help.
Yeah. I think that would help a lot, and I think they'll obviously do that. It might not be just on like the weekly show, but on a pay-per-view or something like that, or one of their bigger shows. But I'm definitely just curious to see how they build it up, how he builds it up. Because that's one thing that me and DJ talk about all the time is, you have to tell us that this title is important. You have to tell us that this, territory is important. And I'm curious how a guy like Kenny Omega is going to do that. But any other thoughts on the New Japan coming to the U.S. before we kind of? I feel like we've kind of gone through most of the points. Anybody have any other thoughts thoughts they want to add before we say goodbye to the good people and the bad people. We'll say goodbye to the bad people too.
And the in-between people as well. The in-between.
Just say bad to the people. Why they gotta be good? Why they gotta be bad?
Yeah.
I mean, why do people use arrest bad? I think, they're just misunderstood.
The only thing I could really say, I wish Access could show more updated shows for people that
I
are
wish
just.
Access was on Uverse.
Yeah, they definitely need to update the shows that they have.
Yeah, Mark
Yeah,
Cuban, I'm talking to you, darn it.
Because they're not airing night 2 until this Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then they're showing shows from like last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool seeing AJ and all them on there, but it's like, this is not the current storyline, so new fans might get confused if they don't have New Japan World, and so.
Sure.
It's only $9, guys. Get it.
It's worth it. Get it.
Or get you a friend that'll give you his password and email.
Yeah, it's only 999 yen.
Yeah, it's not that much.
Yeah, I had to get that converted before I officially signed up for it. I'm like, how much is this?
But,
no, I don't.
All right. Well, that was our discussion on the New Japan U.S. territory coming in 2018. We're all excited for it. I think it's going to be a success. Obviously, New Japan is pretty good with whatever they do. It's just, like we said, it's going to take time for the casual fans and for the, non-hardcore, New Japan fans to kind of get into it. But I think over time they will, and it's going to be good for wrestling in general in the U.S. I think out of anybody, they're the ones, along with Ring of Honor, who are going to, start eventually becoming competition for WWE, and WWE actually, realizing, okay, we have somebody that can compete with us. As much as me and DJ do love Impact and guys from Impact, but they're never going to get to that level, I don't think. But New Japan could definitely do that. But
TNA had a chance, man.
they
They had a chance with that roster. Oh man,
they did.
Sorry, I don't want to open up to another hour-long discussion, so I'll leave it at that.
Next time.
Yeah.
But
We'll tweet about it.
Cameron, do you have anything you wanna plug your stuff, shout your stuff out, anything like that?
Oh yeah, thanks, man. So it's me and my buddy Chris. We are a Couple Marks Wrestling. It's at ACM Wrestling on Twitter, a Couple Marks Wrestling podcast on Facebook. And also, if you go to theinscribermag.com, you can read all of our stuff that we'll start putting up in the opinions section. So, and we're always on Twitter. We always cut podcasts. We always love talking about wrestling, and we always love meeting new people and hanging out.
Jonathan, do you have anything you want to plug, your Twitter or anything like that?
No, I'm good. I don't really have nothing.
All right. Amy, what's that Twitter?
Which one? The one you actually like to spell it out.
I love it. I love it.
DD_Amy_Miley MYLIE.
DD_Amy_Miley MYLIE. If you go on there, if you tweet them, make sure to talk about Kara Ibashi.
Oh, hell no.
He loves when I say that.
It's not the actual wrestlers who are annoying. It's Case.
But as usual, follow us on Twitter at ICW_podcast. We will have, I think we're doing the review of night 1 tonight of the G1 US special. We're going to try to get that out. Tomorrow we have probably NXT 205 Live, whatever. I don't know. We're a little backed up this week. But as usual, like the video, share the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you on the flippity dippity.